Since mankind first walked the earth, he has left his mark behind him in stone. From the standing stones and burial chambers of the ancient world through to the brick and concrete remains of our industrial past, they're part of our landscape and of our history. And none more so than here in the Duchy of Cornwall. Here, history is as much a part of everyday life as our pasties. But most of us don't even give it a second thought. It's just there, a pile of old stones. This stone cross by the roadside near Madron has been in that same spot for almost 1,000 years. Just think of the stories it could tell. In this series, I'm going to explore some of the unique buildings, monuments and memorials that have survived, sometimes against all odds, throughout Cornwall, to discover their history and the stories of the people who put them in place. And what better place to start than with the Stone Age? During the late Neolithic Stone Age through to the early Bronze Age, that's about 2,400 to 1,400 years before Christ, the area around here in West Penwith was densely settled. The foundations of hundreds of stone roundhouses lie scattered around these valleys and plateaus. Some were only seasonally habitated, but others, like here at Bedrifty, appear to be permanently occupied settlements, with many hundreds of acres of fields defined by low banks and dry stone walls. People lived in circular roundhouses constructed with thick stone walls and a conical thatched roof. The doorways positioned to the southeast, away from the prevailing southwesterly wind which scours this landscape. This site was occupied for more than 1,000 years, but looking at what remains of the houses, it's difficult to imagine what life must have been like living here. That is, until you see this. And when you enter this extraordinary reconstruction of an Iron Age roundhouse here at Bedrifty Farm, it becomes clear just how functional and how comfortable these buildings must have been. The owners, Fred and Penny Mustill, built this house in order to understand more fully the lives of the ancients. The fire for heating and cooking was centrally placed, but there could not have been a hole in the apex of the roof, because that would have caused an updraft and immediately set fire to the thatch. Having lived in a thatched cottage myself, I can appreciate that caution. This superb home, for it truly feels like a home, is an interpretation of the largest house at Bedrifty village. It has an internal diameter of 27 feet, that's 8.5 metres, and a height of 36 feet, just over 13 metres, and is recognised as one of the best roundhouse recreations of its kind. The people who lived in the roundhouses on the moor also built this. The Merry Maidens Stone Circle. It is perfectly circular and 72 feet in diameter, that's almost 22 metres. The 19 granite megaliths are aligned to the cardinal points of the compass, which might suggest an astrological or calendar function, perhaps relating to the agricultural year. The ancient stone circles of the British Isles have no direct parallels on the European mainland, and more than 900 have escaped the ravages of time and man. A great number of megaliths and standing stones were destroyed in the 19th century by industry and the reclamation of agricultural land for food production. Dr. William Bourlaise, the rector of Ludgvan and the father of Cornish archaeology, describes in his parochial memoranda dated September the 29th, 1752, how a monolith 20 feet above ground and planted 4 feet in it, the Men Peru, the stone of sorrow, in the parish of Constantine, had mysteriously disappeared. A local farmer later acknowledged that he'd cut it up and had made 20 gateposts out of it. The Cornish name for these stones is Dansmaean, meaning dancing stones. Legend has it that while the God-fearing folk of Lamorna and St Buryan were at prayer, a group of local maidens ignored the call of the church and ventured far into the pastures beyond. The sound of distant Cornish bagpipes drew them further across the moorland until, unable to resist the hypnotic music, they began to dance. faster and faster they turned and twirled, bewitched by the drone of the pipes, until, for their sin, the maidens were turned to stone. It is said that on a night when the moon is full and bright, the stones release the maidens to dance again, but at the first glint of dawn, they are turned once again to stone.